My name is Azziza Robinson, and my topic is orphans. Yeah.
And are you ready?
I am ready.
Do you hear that? That's the first person who said I am. Okay. It only took until the end of the show, but thank you very much. Joe Hawkins, you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? Yeah! That is Azziza Robinson for Orphans in 3, 2, 1, begin!
When I was 9 years old, so about 4 years ago, my parents decided to get a family bedside commode. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with what a commode is, I want you to close your eyes and first picture a bucket, and then that's it. In short, it's basically a skinless outhouse. It's often found in the homes and at the bedsides of elderly people or people with mobility issues, none of which describe the demographics of anyone in my household. But my parents decided not only should we get a communal piss bucket, but we should put it out in the open in the upstairs living room space between my sister and I's bedroom and their bedroom. And the reasoning for this is that if they had to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, they didn't have to walk all the way downstairs. Instead, they'd rather pee in a bucket upstairs and then have us all take turns carrying it downstairs like we were taking water back to our village and manually empty it into the toilet. So their logic was airtight. Now, when the commode first hit the scene, I was not on board. For the first few weeks, I refused to use it, but 9 is an impressionable age. So by the 2-month mark, I was singing a different tune, and quite frankly, I didn't recognize myself. I turned into a character from The Handmaid's Tale, like I come out of the room in the middle of the night, see a freshly emptied bucket, and be like, oh, we've been sent good weather. Blessed be the fruit under his eye being the picture of Malcolm X that was directly above the commode for some reason. A few months later, despite some pretty obvious cracks in the system, the commode was still unfortunately going strong. At this point, I opted out of using the commode, but I still somehow found myself in this sort of bucket emptying rotation. So one Sunday morning, like any other morning during this period of my life, I screamed myself awake. I look to the chore schedule on the wall and I see that it's yet again my day to take the commode down. So I get out of bed, I head to the commode, get the bucket out, and I start walking down the stairs. Now, this was a routine procedure for me at this point, so I knew what I was doing. I'm moving at record speeds, I'm trying to get this shit done, right? I get about halfway down the stairs, and I want to say the back of my heel hits the front of a step, I lose my footing, and I begin to fall backwards. This is correct, yes. Now this is when everything started to sort of move in slow motion for me. So I'm falling backwards, sunk in place style for what feels like 5 minutes. But the bucket that was in my hand, it didn't fall forward. Instead, I sort of defy all laws of physics and somehow toss the bucket over my head. I look up and see the pee about to pour out on me like I'm a head coach of a football team. And, different cultures have different ceremonies to signify the ending of childhood, right? There are quinceañeras, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs. My version of a bat mitzvah occurred the minute that pee made contact with my skin, right? Like the second that pee touched the skin on my face, I had a Roth IRA, I was $20,000 in credit card debt, I was successfully co-parenting with my ex-partner, Devontae, like I was no longer a child. Not only was I no longer a child, but I was immediately hit with the insight of an adult woman, and everything became so clear. Finally, everything about my upbringing made sense. I realized milliseconds after all of my immediate family's pee poured on my head that my parents, despite being me and my sister's biological parents, were actively raising us as white mid-19th century fictional orphans. During my descent down the stairs, every unexplainable choice my parents made flashed before my eyes. The Pentecostal school they sent me to at 7 years old, despite our family being barely Baptist. A school that regularly showed the entire student body clips of the Green Mile and had a rule that if any girl was wearing more than 3 braids in her hair, she was essentially colluding with the devil. The outright defiance of child labor laws every summer when, starting from the age of 6, my sister and I were seasonal workers at our family's horse ranch, doing everything from landscaping to administering horse vaccines, resulting in us going on strike around age 10 for not just fair wages, but any wages, upon realizing other kids were getting paid to make their beds. The regular trips to Amish country where one year my dad told me in a Mennonite operated hotel that Santa Claus wasn't real, and when I looked up at him with the last glimmer of childhood hope in my eyes and asked in a Dickensian tone, what about the tooth fairy, Papa? He let me know that she was from the same fucked up minds that brought us Santa Claus. And finally, choosing for us to be on this scatological chain gang despite us having a running toilet just down the stairs. I realized upon picking myself up off the stairs that my parents weren't just weird, introverted city people cosplaying as ranchers in an unmonitored part of a suburb. No. There was some bizarre outside force guiding their parenting, but my theory is that the universe somehow willed this. Like my parents went to a bookstore, they were reaching for a child development book, some tectonic plates shifted, and they accidentally picked up Charles Dickens. Like they were inches away from picking up an anti-capitalist parenting book, but some mysterious woman in a cloche hat bumped one of their shoulders and they picked up Anne of Green Gables, and these became their parenting holy text. But as harrowing and quite frankly confusing as my childhood was, it has inadvertently made me the person I am or strive to be today. For the past 30 years, I have subconsciously been trying to live out what I believe the true story of these literary orphans that I've rarely been able to see. The part of the story where they develop class consciousness and realize that the kind billionaire that saved them is actually a piece of shit, whose one kind act doesn't negate the fact that their entire fortune was made through the exploitation of workers. And after that realization, they do something about it, right? Or the part of the story where they take the money they inherited from an estranged, wealthy, dead relative and put it into developing a community-operated mutual aid fund that doesn't merely provide charity to working class people, but builds long-lasting community power. I just know for a fact that if we heard Jane Eyre's story told through a different lens, she would have ended up burning police cars and throwing red paint on senators' doors. In my heart, I believe that if we had a Where Are They Now with Oliver Twist, he would have 1,000 small tattoos living in a housing cooperative where he is still somehow fighting for his life to form a tenants union. There is no doubt in my mind that if we got an alternate ending to Pip's story, he'd be in a polycule challenge in the romantic love myth through kitchen table polyamory with the 5 partners that he loves and 3 partners that he kind of likes but feels obligated to stay with because the polycule is democratically operated. And to be honest, to this day, I feel a sense of responsibility to these fictional orphans, whether that be through living out their unwritten futures in my own life or merely sharing the gospel of how radical I know they would have been outside of the confines of 19th century fictionality. So I thank you for hearing me. No, I thank you for hearing them through me, right? And the next time you see a protester throwing a Molotov cocktail at a riot squad, I want you to pick up a bottle and pour one out for all those fictional orphans that you've read about. Then stuff a rag in said bottle, light it on fire, and throw one too in their honor. Thank you.